Town Talk Radio Productions brings you this edition of the Town Talk Show, where you'll get information and insight on what's happening all across Terry County, including city, county and school news, civic events, people of interest, and much, much more. And now, here's Town Talk.
Good morning and welcome to the Town Talk Show. I'm Kelsey Slaughter here with Danessa Churchwell, and we have some special guests this morning. We have some members of the Crossing, Pastor Eric Horton and his daughter Marissa Horton, who is a member of the youth group there, and they have some exciting things going on at the church. But before we get into all of that, we're going to take a short break, so stay tuned.
Neighbor, can I borrow your lawnmower? Good afternoon, neighbor. Can I borrow a cup of sugar? Hey, neighbor, it's me again. Can I borrow your running shoes?
You can't choose your neighbor, but at least you can choose two of your favorites from the McDonald's McPick 2 menu.
One great offer, two of your faves from McDonald's McPick 2 menu. Pick any two for $2.50, like a McDouble burger, a McChicken sandwich, or small fries. See store for details. For a limited time, prices and participation may vary.
Brownfield ISD, providing opportunities for all students to excel, exhibiting success in academics, athletics, and band, staying in front of technology using smart boards, iPads, and Google Books. Great facilities, including a state-of-the-art indoor practice field and training center. Uncover the opportunity. Brownfield ISD, committed to excellence.
Good morning and welcome back to the Town Talk Show. Once again, this is Kelsey Slaughter with Danessa Churchwell, and we are speaking to Eric Horton and Marissa Horton, his eldest daughter of the Crossing. So welcome this morning, guys.
Good morning.
Glad to have you. How's it going, Marissa?
It's going good.
Good.
Yeah.
So just for some people that may not know you, can you give a little brief history of how you came to Brownfield and how long you've been at the church at the Crossing?
I've been at the Crossing for a little over a year. It'd actually be 2 years, July. We considered our home church, actually, because my wife was actually raised in this church. It actually used to be called Shady Oaks Church of God, as most people would probably know from the community. We just basically came back home. We got the ministry actually back in 2001. End of 2001 was when we were actually catapulted in the ministry, and then we have kind of been all over the place. Been up at the Panhandle, the Dallas-Fort Worth area, back to Lubbock, and then to Sweetwater, and then now home to Brownfield. And so I think it finally found the place that we need to be at, where God has really called us to.
Awesome. And Marissa, can you just tell us your age and what you do?
Yeah, so I'm 17 years old. I'm a junior at Dawson High School, and I just recently competed in a teen talent competition through monologue, spoken word, and mixed media.
And that is kind of what brings you guys in this morning, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, a lot of people might not know what teen talent is, so can you give us some info on that?
Teen talent is in the Church of God setting. It is a time that we do performance art and other arts for teenagers, and it's every other year in the state of Texas. And if you win on the state level in your category, then you advance to the international level in Cleveland, Tennessee, at Lee University, which Lee University is associated with the Church of God. And this year we took a group for group skit, and our group skit won. Actually, got runner-up, which still allows us to be advanced to the international teen talent competition. And then Marissa here, she won monologue, which everybody should know is just a single-person skit. And then she got runner-up in spoken word, which also is a kind of an arts performance, kind of a deep, passionate subject or whatever. It's just kind of a poetic type thing, I guess you could say. She could probably explain it a little better than I can, since she's the one that did it. And then, of course, Marissa won in an art category called mixed media, and Caleb Wood another one of our teenagers, he won in the drawing section, which is actually the second largest category in the art section. I mean, he won out of 16, I believe it was 16 people. And then, of course, we have another young lady in the church, Sarah Fleener is her name, and she will be representing the church or the state of Texas in textiles, which, actually textiles is something that's kind of a lost art. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people in our area know what textiles is about. And so whenever they went to compete, how many other people were they competing with? They compete with several different. It depends on what categories and how many people want to be in those categories. It's not like UIL. When you face another church, it doesn't matter what size it is. And, a church our size, between 30 and 40 people, with a youth group of about maybe 8 to 10, well, we went up against a few churches that had over 1,000 people in their church. And their youth groups, at least 200 people. And so they don't break them down in divisions or classes. Right. It's just church against church. And now, of course, I do want to say it's not just about competition. I mean, everything we do for the glory of God. And so,
how do you choose, which kids do what? Do the kids get to pick?
They
How
do.
Does that work?
Yes,
okay.
Absolutely, they do. This time is kind of funny because we had, I think, there was a couple of kids that didn't want to do the group skit. And so we want everybody to participate. And that's the most important thing, I think, is it's amazing to see certain people that you think and their personalities, and then when they get up there on stage, the way they bloom, I guess you can say. There's one particular young man that we just were for sure that he wasn't going to, do well, but the Lord helped him, and he came alive. And, I mean, he didn't have a speaking part. He just moved, but he did it with grace and did it the way that we asked him to do it, and he helped us to win. So,
Marissa, what led you to choose the events that you chose to participate in?
Well, I've been competing in monologue since the first time I could compete in junior talent, which was at the age of 8. It's one of my favorite events. I love the idea of getting up there and portraying a story that's going to touch someone's heart or that's going to lead them to Christ. And then I chose spoken word. This category actually was new to Texas Teen Talent, about 2-3 years ago. And me and my dad had talked about it, and we really didn't know exactly what it was. We were a little confused as the rules and stuff. Well, last Winterfest, which is a youth event that the Church of God puts on for teens all across the world, a spoken word poet named David Bowden came on, and I just completely fell in love with that type of ministry. It reaches to different people, but it tells them the word, and so that's what led me to choose spoken word and monologue. And then mixed media, I'm not the most creative person, okay? But mixed media allows me to do stuff without having to be completely artistic, and I love mixed media. So that's
what is mixed media?
So mixed media is creating an artwork on a canvas or on paper or even on a mannequin of any sort, any kind of media. And you use different kinds of things to create kind of, I guess, just a work. So, for example, mine was all about how I'm willing to let God lead me wherever. So the whole thing was based on maps and a compass and the ocean, and it all are supposed to represent different things, and so that's really what mixed media is.
Neat. And so the events that you guys are advancing in, we'll talk a little bit about those. The group skit, I guess, involves the most kids.
Yes.
And what was the skit about? How did you guys come up with it?
Well, actually, Amanda Robinson was supposed to be here with us today, and she's actually the one that we give credit to as far as the getting the skit together and coming up with the I guess, what do you call it?
The message.
The message, thank you, yeah. And anyway, she it was about your brand name, and Marissa could probably, I think, explain a little bit better than I can since she was in it. So.
Okay, so the whole thing was we all associate ourselves with different things, whether that be who we associate ourselves with school, who we try to create ourselves to be to different people. And the whole thing was the kind of heaviness that can be upon you when you don't give your problems to Christ. And it was, are you going to go into the real world just as this person who you truly aren't? Or are you going to allow God to come into you, work with you, and create you to who He's had you to be? And so Miss Rob actually was praying one night, and she just said that God gave her this message. And it was to tell people that, we can drop our brand name. Are you putting on the brand name of Christ? Or are you putting on this worldly brand name where you're trying to fit in with people, or you're trying to be someone that you weren't created to be?
Very nice.
Well, let's take a break, and when we come back, we will find out more. You guys are advancing, like we said, and so there's going to be some fundraising involved in that. So after our break, we'll find out some more about that.
At Clinic Pharmacy, we monitor all your prescriptions so you don't have to. Why is that important? It's vital for your pharmacist to check for drug-to-drug interactions with every prescription you fill. And with more than 136,000 prescription drugs available in the United States, you need a caring, dedicated pharmacist to be sure that one prescription you're taking won't interact negatively with a new prescription. Caring for your health is what our professionals do best. That's Clinic Pharmacy, 901 Tahoka Road here in Brownfield, 637-7049.
When it comes to delicious food, great wine, and an inviting atmosphere, look no further than the Triple D. The Triple D offers not only unique food items on their menu, they also have an excellent assortment of your favorite wines to go along with your meal. Located in downtown Brownfield, the Triple D isn't just a restaurant, it's also a great place to enjoy a glass of wine while listening to some of the best in live entertainment. The Triple D is open Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m., and Friday evenings between 5 p.m. and 10 p.m. Check out their Facebook for daily lunch specials, as well as their live entertainment schedule. Call 637-0243 or just stop by their location at 519 West Main. The Triple D, your first stop for fun, food, and wine.
And welcome back to the Town Talk Show. We are speaking with Eric Horton and Marissa Horton of the Crossing Church of God and learning everything about this competition, Teen Talent, that they just advanced in. And you guys were talking to us before about the monologue that Marissa performed. And it's not just a standard monologue, but there's actually special meaning behind it, if you want to share a little bit about that.
Marissa's monologue is entitled That Day, and it's actually based off of a true story. Obviously, we've had to make some changes because it was about my brother committing suicide. And actually, that hits home here in Brownfield because my brother did commit suicide here in Brownfield. Mm. And anyway, it's just kind of goes with this story of number one. We don't do anything to advance our story for self. I think people need to be aware, and I know this isn't a preaching show or a gospel show or anything like that, but I really do believe that if people will just truly yield to Jesus, that their pains will go away, and that you don't have to come to that point of where you think your life is no good. And that day changed a lot in how I perceived people, just myself, and I may cry. I'm sorry,
It's okay.
But I'll never forget the chain of events of that day. And I worked at Mr. Gaddy's when there was a Mr. Gaddy's here, and at that time, Sheriff Jerry Johnson was the sheriff, and he came and got me there at Mr. Gaddy's and told me I needed to come home with my dad. And I was like, okay, so my grandparents, okay. And he said, well, you want to be home with them too. And I drive up to the house, and I see a Cadillac there. I see another unmarked car there, and I'm thinking, what is going on? And I walk in, and there is, at the time, Chief Deputy Tony Cervantes, and at the time, the county judge, Judge Ryburn, which these are people that some of these people have passed on now themselves, and then my meemaw's sitting there, my papa's sitting there, my meemaw's standing there crying, and I hear my dad in the background yelling at somebody, and I thought, I'll be honest with you, I thought for a second, did my brother do something. My dad's yelling back there, and they're calling me here for a domestic dispute. I mean, I didn't know what to think. And then I heard the phone slam down back when we didn't have cell phones, you know. And my dad come running in there, and he flat out told me, your brother shot himself in the head. He's dead. And, of course, you know, you do what anybody else would do. And you, excuse me, sorry. You fall to your knees, and you ask God why. And so the other day, or a couple weeks ago, when we were at Teen Talent, when I wrote the script, and Marissa got up there, and I don't know what happened. She can explain to you what happened, but all of a sudden she goes off script, and telling exactly kind of the whole thing. And at first I was mad at her, but then after she got done, you hear the tears, or not hear the tears, but you hear the sniffles of the cries and the stuff. And Marissa asked me, she said, "Do you think I did good?" I said, "You know, it doesn't matter if you did good or bad. For some reason, God had you do that today to minister to somebody that was in that audience." And we honestly didn't even think for a minute that she would advance, and I guess that was the blessing of it, part of the blessing. But the biggest blessing was that I know that there was somebody there listening that day, and I'm going to let Marissa explain more. Maybe I don't know.
Okay, so originally the whole thing was after I get done telling this story. It was that I pray, and then I read a scripture about how we need to be praying in tribulation and stuff. Well, right before I got on, I was just praying. I was praying that God would ease my nerves. You know, this is my last time to go on Teen Talent stage, so I was already a little emotional about that. And I was just praying that, He would calm my nerves, that I would minister to somebody. And then I don't know why I had never thought of it until right before I went on, but it was like as if all of a sudden God had told me that the lesson that somebody could learn from this story was victory. And I just immediately started crying because I was nervous that I was fixing to go up there and completely change everything. So I went up on the stage, and I stuck to, like my dad said, most of the script in the first part. But then I got into the part where, I'm like, God, why? Why me? Why William? And here's a little note. In the script, my brother's name was not originally William, but I did it in honor of my dad's brother, and so that... Anyways, and so, why William? Why would you take him from my dad? Why would you take him from me? And then that's when I decided to go on the path where, we don't understand quite what God does all the time. And we don't understand sometimes where he's working. But we can know that because of Jesus, because of his sacrifice, that we can find victory through him. And that's really where I went with the whole message of the monologue. And I really think it also, it represents my dad and a lot of people who go through that. My dad could have been just any other person and taken that hard and been selfish about it. But instead, he chose to go and minister to people, to tell people the gospel, to help those who are fighting depression and fighting suicidal thoughts. And I really felt like that represented my father, and it represented a lot of other people as well.
So now you guys have the opportunity to take this to an even bigger stage, to share this story with even more people. Mm-hmm. And when is that?
It will be the July 31st through August 4th is that whole week there that Teen Talent is, International Teen Talent is performed. And I actually think that Monday is monologue and group skit all together. So that's kind of nice anyway.
And you said that's in Tennessee?
In Cleveland, Tennessee, yes. Okay. And it's where at Lee University, where the Church of God is associated with that university. So.
And how many people are you taking?
11 of us. Total is supposed to be going.
That's from y'all's group?
From our group, yes.
Okay. And so there are some costs involved in the traveling and the overnight stays because, like you said, it's about a week.
It will be. Yeah. We will leave out on a Saturday, and we won't come back until the following Sunday.
Okay.
Or not the next day, obviously, but the following Sunday that week.
So are y'all going to be doing some fundraising?
We will be. We will be. Yes, ma'am. we're thinking about selling your world's finest chocolate. I mean, everybody sells that, I think. So look out for us, people. And then, of course, I'm sure there's other things we're going to be doing. Maybe some bake sales. In the time frame that we have, we are asking for donations from community people. One of the things that we look at too is that not only are we representing the state of Texas, we're also representing Brownfield, our community in the area, because this is our town. This is who we minister to also, and we will. I know that there's going to be a few churches within our denomination that are going to have us come out and perform a couple of these things for them for a love offering, and we do want to obviously extend that out to our local churches as well. They may not be our denomination, that's fine, but we would love for the kids to come out in any of our community churches and perform as well. So
I'm sure a lot of people listening are thinking, I would love to see that performed, and I would love to see the group skit and all the messages that you guys are getting through with that. So is that the best thing for them to do? Just look out for it being at a local church? Are you guys going to put on a performance? Will it be on social media? How can they see these performances?
That is the first time that question has been asked. I don't know why. I've never thought about that. You know, we will probably put it most likely on social media. It seems to be the best thing to do these days. And then, like I said, we'll just go and there's a couple of churches within our own denomination that we'll go to, and the Terry County Ministerial Alliance, which I'm a part of, they already know about it. You know, they've been some questions have been asked about that, and so hopefully somebody within that group will have us come out. And so,
before we close out and get your contact information for donations, Marissa, as a member of the youth group and a participant in this, can you just share a little bit about what it means to get this opportunity to go and perform and to kind of minister in this way?
So, people aren't going to hear about Christ unless you tell them about Christ. And so to be given the opportunity to, whether it be locally or on the state or even now at the international level, to tell people about Christ, it's truly humbling. It's also really special and dear to my heart to feel that God has directed my path and my steps to help people who may be dealing with the same thing that my dad's brother was going through. And for our youth group, I really feel like that for our youth group, it helps us grow closer. It helps us really, when we see other people who are being helped by what we have to say about Christ, it grows our relationship with Christ, and I know that it helps us grow closer together as a youth group as well. And so any opportunity that we would be given, we would be so appreciative of it and would take it and just run with it, really. So.
Okay. And so do you want to give out your church's information so that if someone does want to give a donation, they know where to go?
Absolutely. You can always call, obviously, 806-637-0450. That is that's the number to the church. Am I allowed to give out my phone number?
Yes.
Okay, I didn't know. Area code is 3. Yeah, I guess so. No prank calls, people. Anyway, I'm screening you. Anyway,
writing it down.
Area code. I know. Yeah, write it down. Area code 325-933-8028 is my phone number, and of course, the church, the Crossing Church of God, is located at 110 West Hill Street, and you're more than welcome to stop by. But mainly just calling would probably be the easiest way to do it, or even texting my phone number. That's always okay too. So,
okay. And what time do y'all hold services on Sundays, so that if any of our listeners are interested?
10 o'clock Sunday school, 11 o'clock service, and I can't guarantee you won't get out of there by 12:30. But we'll try. I'm sure we will.
So eat some brunch.
Yes. And we do have donuts and coffee.
Okay, Marissa, do you want to do any shout-outs?
No, I'm good, actually.
Shout out to Jesus.
Yeah, shout out to Jesus. It's cheesy, but no, I'm good. Thank you.
I do have a shout-out.
Okay.
Happy birthday.
Oh, thank you.
Kelsey Slaughter.
Thank you.
Happy birthday, Kelsey.
I appreciate that. Well, thank you guys so much for coming in. We loved hearing the story. We love hearing the positive thing that the youth is getting to do. And we hope that the community really helps out and supports you guys. And we'll look for those performances on social media.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Thanks for tuning in this morning. Thanks to our sponsors for supporting the show. We hope you enjoyed it, and we hope that you have a great day. This was Danessa Churchwell.
And Kelsey Slaughter.
You've been listening to The Town Talk Show, a broadcast of Town Talk Radio Productions. If you would like to comment on our show or promote your civic or church event, or if you have an idea for an interesting story, give us a call at 806-637-0030 from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday, or you can drop us a line at info@towntalkradio.com. You can also follow us on Facebook. Thanks for tuning in and have a great day.